Hi, thank you for clicking on our video. I'm Alissa.
And I'm Grace, and we're just going to talk to you about our positions currently as apprentices for Marks and
Yeah.
Spencer's studying buying and merchandising.
So a little bit about us.
So I'm Grace, I'm 21 years old. Some key interests of mine is I like to do painting, I like to go to the gym, socialize with my friends. And for my future goals and what I want to achieve is hopefully one day I'd like to be a fashion designer. But that's just a little bit about me, a bit of a background, so you know who's talking.
And then a little bit about me. I'm Alissa. I'm also 21 years old and I love Pilates. I love a good book, but I also love socializing with my friends. And for me, this job has made me realize that I want to be a fashion buyer. So that's a little bit about me.
So,
How did we get here?
yeah, these are just timelines of our paths.
Yeah. So my timeline is the top timeline, and I finished my GCSEs in 2021. So kind of like COVID years, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I just went and did my A levels. I knew I wanted to be in fashion, but my school did not offer anything in that kind of realm. So I did A levels in geography, business, and psychology. And then when it came to the end of sixth form, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want to go to university. And I didn't really know about apprenticeships, so I didn't really know what to do. Lucky for me, I actually worked part time at Marks and Spencer's throughout my time in sixth form, and I just stayed there, went traveling, did a gap year, and that is where I came across this role. So my manager was really, really supportive of me. She knew I wanted to get into buying, and she pushed for me to get into this position. And yeah, I was successful. I started the apprenticeship in 2024, and then we finish in March 2026.
So, as you can see, obviously the two timelines looking quite different. Mine is the bottom one. So I finished my A levels in 2022, and I always wanted to go to university. I always thought that that was my path. I was planning on doing a gap year, but then on results day, I decided, no, I'm just going to go straight to uni. So I went to uni in September 2022, and then very quickly realized that this was not for me. It was completely different to what I thought it was going to be. Didn't enjoy the course, the lifestyle. It wasn't for me. It's not for everyone. And so then I decided to make the decision to drop out. I felt like that was the best outcome. So in October, I dropped out, was on cloud nine, and then very quickly realized I obviously have ambition. I want to get into the fashion world, but how do I get there without a degree? So I worked in store for a retail company for about a month as a Christmas temp. And then I saw in 2023, M&S were showing visual merchandising in store. So I applied for it, was working in store as a visual merchandiser, doing windows, mannequin dressing. Really enjoyed the job, but I always felt like I wanted to go back to study or to learn more, but wasn't really sure where. And so then I came across the Fashion Retail Academy, which
Awesome.
I then saw that they were doing an apprenticeship with M&S in buying and merchandising. So I applied for it and kept my fingers crossed and landed the role. And yeah, and now we're both here finishing
Yeah,
in March.
very different timelines, but we ended up in the same place. So.
Yeah. So, we're just going to talk a little bit about the interview process, where we found our apprenticeships, and kind of how we got there. So, I actually found my apprenticeship through Fashion Retail Academy's website. I was looking on there to actually study buying and merchandising as its own separate course. And then I saw that they actually do apprenticeships, and that's when I saw that they did it with M&S. So, it was kind of a by chance situation, but that's where I found mine.
Yeah, I found mine because I worked in store and I told my manager that I really wanted to get into buying, and I was doing absolutely everything I possibly could to make it as a buying admin assistant here. And she found this apprenticeship and she just said, look, have a look at this, see if it's something you wanted to do. And it absolutely was. So she really
Mm-hmm.
helped me push for it. And yeah, that's how I kind of fell into the role as well, I guess.
But I know that there are other people that saw it on LinkedIn through the company, and also M&S like on their careers hub, separately. It can be hard sometimes to see them put out, but a lot of the times on LinkedIn you can do a notification on
Yeah.
like, and you can put a keyword. So if you put like apprenticeship, you normally get notified on different ones that are coming up.
Yeah.
So a little bit about the interview process. So as a whole, we had an assessment centre day. So ours was 4 hours long, but I know that they can vary between like 2 hours to 4 hours. You get breaks in between, so it's not that intense the
No.
whole entire time. But basically, the consensus of it is that you have an individual like interview where they kind of gauge who you are as a person, you talk about your interests, and then we had a group session, so with other candidates, also going for the same role. Don't let that put you off. They want to give you the job. They just want to see how you work in a group situation.
Yeah.
And then a bit of it was like behavioral and
Yeah.
how, if they were to implement something new in the business, how would you go about that? Which one do you like best? And so on.
So, in our experiences, Grace and I were actually on the same assessment centre, and we were put into groups where we were given three different options that M&S could take, and we had to put our point across and listen to others' points of what option M&S should go with, and then present it back to a group of assessors. I think there wasn't really a right answer to what they were asking. It was
No.
more about how we interacted with each other, because in our day to day, you interact with everyone across the business, whether it's your team to marketing to someone on foods. You never know who you're going to talk to. And I think those were the skills that they were really looking for in that exercise.
Yeah.
And then when you have your one-to-one discussion with your assessor, for us at least, it was a lot more like a casual conversation.
Yeah.
But I think it's so crucial to show your individuality and why you want the job. So for me, I had my certain points to what made me want this specific role, what I could bring to the role, which was different to my other candidates. And I think just showing that passion is what they look for the most. They're not looking for someone who is already the perfect buyer or the perfect merchandiser or whatever role you're looking to go into. They're just looking for the passion and willingness to learn, because at the end of the day, this is an apprenticeship and you are there to learn. You'll be studying at the same time.
Exactly.
You've got to balance your studies with your workload. So having the passion and the drive to be successful in the role is far more important than having the right answer.
Yeah. And they're not there to catch you out. They're not there to wait for you to slip up. They want you to be in that position because they want the fresh eyes. They want someone who may have been a customer and to see the behind the scenes of it. They want someone who is actually interested and has, like you said, has that passion. And if you don't have the passion, like ask yourself why you're going for it.
Absolutely.
Like, what is your reason? Like, as we said, say your why. But also just don't look at it as intimidating as it sounds. It is just a chat with someone else. They just want to see if you've got your own personality, and that is like the best piece of advice it is. And I know you probably hear it all the time, but be yourself. Like, and it is such a key piece of advice that I got given, and I think that's probably how we got to where we are.
Yeah, I cannot emphasize enough just having the confidence in yourself, because you have absolutely every reason to be there and you're deserving of this spot, and it's really, really important to remember that. Don't be put off by this is a big thing. I'm so nervous, which is completely natural to be nervous.
100%.
But you really, really just have to believe in yourself and believe that you can do it, and you will.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's everything that I would say. Just top tip, back yourself. I think it can sound way more daunting than it actually is, but once you're there chatting to the person, just think it's just a casual conversation. And you also are there to ask yourself if you want to be in that role. It's not so much, I mean, yes, at the same time you want to sell yourself, but it's a time for you to ask questions on if it's the right fit for you, if that's something you want to do. And they like that. They like the idea that you're also kind of interviewing them in a sense. So my top tip would just be back yourself and really see if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. For me, I think my top tip is definitely to have something that you can bring to the role, that you can say, this is why I want this is what I'll bring, this is what I want to learn, this is what I would even change as such. So you really make an impact and a difference. And it's also like a talking point that you can
Mm.
then talk to the assessors with. I think that's really, really important to say. I also think it's important to emphasize, yes, that Grace and I came from internal in M&S, but absolutely that is not a requirement. There are people on the same course as us that did not come from internally. They just applied
Mm-hmm.
online through LinkedIn or through the website and went through the same like interview process that we did. Okay, so what we do day to day, I would say every day looks
It's very
different.
different.
Yeah, very, very different. And I think a key part of our course is that we do have study days. So we work for
Mm-hmm.
M&S 4 days a week, and then one day we're at FRA where we either have a lesson or we have an assignment that we have to be getting on with.
Mm-hmm. So like a bit of our day to days. So we're training for a buying admin assistant role,
Yeah,
or for the people who have chosen to study merchandising, they're doing MAA, merchandising admin assistant roles. And it's very much admin based, but you really do get stuck in. They really
absolutely.
want to know what your thoughts are because you're fresh faces, you're the younger customer who they're trying to attract. So there's so much room for creativity to voice your opinions, and work with product. And yeah, it's really exciting. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we've definitely had some amazing days. We've worked with celebrities, as you can see, Ian Wright is on our screen.
Mm-hmm.
We've met many celebrities. We get to do press shows where we set up ready for all the events and everyone to come. You know, you get to see the goodie bags and you get to see everyone that's invited. And then
Mm.
we've also had opportunities to go to award shows where our teams have been up for fashion awards, which have been such amazing opportunities and
Mm.
opportunities that we wouldn't get if we went to university or took a different route.
Exactly.
So I'm so, so grateful that we got to do this apprenticeship. It's opened so many
Yeah,
doors.
and it's very much you're looking at future trends.
Yeah.
So a lot of websites like WGSN, looking on those and what's being put out on the scene, looking at like competitive markets, what are they showing for the seasons, what could we implement, but
Yeah.
still make it your own brand. There's a lot of thought that goes behind it, and it's so eye-opening. And every day, as we said, like every day is different to like what goes behind the scenes in
Yeah.
order to get there.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah,
get a really, really good look
you
behind the
get a lot of
scenes.
exposure in it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
And into just like retail as a whole, kind
Mm.
of. And, you know, everyone goes to shops and everyone knows what retail is, and
Yeah.
knowing what actually goes on behind the scenes is just so eye opening.
Mm.
Yeah. So, where do we go from here? There's multiple different routes we can take. You can either go down the buyer, merchandiser, or even design or technologist route, which is kind of what we're training for. So, for me, I want to go down the buyer's route. Or you can like venture out into different ways of the business. Like, there's marketing, there's socials, you can go to online, you can go back into stores, into visual, like Grace did before.
Mm-hmm.
There's supply chain, there's so many opportunities where you can travel, and it's just such a big company. Yeah.
It's something where it gives you exposure of the fashion industry. You don't necessarily need to know exactly what you want to do in fashion in order to do this. Like for me, for example, I knew I wanted to be in fashion, but I wasn't sure where in fashion I wanted to be, which is why I applied for it. And I wanted that exposure. I wanted my foot in the door within that. And now that I'm here, that door has been open to go down these different avenues because I've had that exposure just from a different angle. So really, you could go down anywhere. You could go down marketing,
Yeah.
socials. You just have to have the drive for it, and the understanding.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Yeah. Or you can go for a complete career change, which
yeah.
some people do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, doing an apprenticeship gives you experience in the corporate world, and your first proper job going from school to going to this was a big transition.
Yeah.
But being here has 100% given us like the skills that we need that are transferable into any role that we want to go into. So you don't have to stay just
No.
because you've trained in this role does not mean that you're stuck here forever. You can
No.
absolutely change your mind.
Yeah, 100%. And you'll learn so many valuable skills, whether that literally be as simple of how to formulate an email, but it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You can transfer it everywhere. It's
Yeah.
really useful.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to our talk.
We've just attached our LinkedIn and our emails
Yeah.
on there if you wanted to reach out to us
Yeah.
and ask us any more questions.
Yeah, we're happy to help.
We hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a better understanding of apprenticeships and the buying and merch. But yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.